Did you know that vulnerability is the core of shame, fear, and our struggle for worthiness, but also the birthplace of joy, creativity, belonging, and love? Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Louise Lewin, and I will be discussing The Power of Vulnerability by Dr. Brene Brown. After this discussion, you will be better educated on why vulnerability is important for relationships. Dr. Brene Brown is a research professor at the University of Houston, where she holds the Huffington Foundation Endowed Chair at the Graduate School of Social Work. In today's discussion, I will be discussing an excerpt from her research study involving vulnerability and human connection. So first, I will discuss the differences of people who share a sense of worthiness and those who do not. And two, I will define what vulnerability is and why we struggle with it. So, what is shame? According to Dr. Brown, shame is a fear of disconnection, and it's universal. We all feel shame at some point in our lives. We think, I'm not smart enough, I'm not thin enough, I'm not strong enough, I don't have enough money. All of these things are associated with shame and fear. Dr. Brown conducted interviews with thousands of persons over the course of 6 years for this study, and she divided participants into two groups: those who shared a sense of worthiness and those who did not. So those who shared a sense of worthiness, they were associated with also having a strong sense of love and belonging. And there is one variable that separates people who had this strong sense of belonging and those who did not. And the difference is those who had this sense of belonging, they actually believed it. They actually believed that they were worthy of love and belonging. Another thing that these participants shared was courage, compassion, connection, and vulnerability. So the difference is the persons who shared the sense of worthiness, they thought that vulnerability was a necessity. They thought that instead of it being something that is uncomfortable and excruciating, it is what it is. It's something that we need in life. On to the second point. What is vulnerability? Dr. Brene Brown describes this as uncertainty, risk, and emotional exposure. It's that unstable feeling we get when we get out of our comfort zone and we do something that loosens our control. So why do we numb vulnerability? So we numb it because instead of talking about our feelings, it's easier to eat a chocolate cake or to smoke or to have a couple of beers. But you cannot selectively numb emotions. You can't selectively numb grief or fear, because when you numb these things, you also numb joy, gratitude, creativity, and happiness. And when that happens, we become miserable, and then it's a vicious cycle of trying to numb again. So in order to really be seen, we have to love with our whole heart, even though it's difficult. In conclusion, vulnerability is the core of shame and fear, but also the place of joy and love and a sense of worthiness. In parting, I want to leave this quote from Dr. Brown: "You're imperfect and wired for struggle, but you're worthy of love and belonging." Thank you again. My name is Louise Lewin. Have a good evening.